Welcome. So find yourself a comfortable seat. You can be sitting in a chair, or maybe you sit on the floor like I am, maybe with a cushion under your seat. And just get nice and comfortable there. It might be really good to close the eyes down, or maybe you keep them a little bit open to begin with, however you feel most comfortable to settle in. And let's together take a deep breath in, filling the belly, filling the lower belly, even the hips fill up with that breath, and then exhale, perhaps a sigh. Just feeling yourself kind of landing here. That deep breath in again, filling the body and feeling the spine grow longer with the inhale. And then as you exhale again, maybe a nice sigh. Just emptying tension from the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. Another deep belly breath. And just hold the breath in for a moment at the top of the inhale. Feel that fullness, and then exhale completely out. Let it go, emptying, emptying, emptying. Hold the breath out for a brief, just a second. Then a deep inhale, again filling up, consciously filling every cell with breath. And then as you get to the top of the inhale, pause. Sip in some more air on top of that. Pause there as well. And then empty out. Just let it go, whether out the nose or out the mouth. And now just allow your breath to establish a natural pace. So just those few slightly deepened breaths will help us to feel our capacity for breath. And as you've perhaps, even in this short time, become a little more relaxed, and just by observing the breath and by slowing the breath down consciously, so we naturally calm our nervous system. So the natural breath becomes slower. And I'd love you to just notice now the feeling of the belly button moving forwards and then backwards with your breath. Naturally, you're not having to do anything to create this. You're just, as your inhale pours in, the belly button moves forward. And as the exhale comes out, the navel naturally draws back to the spine. The belly button draws back to the spine. And just observing this simple, natural movement, the body's autonomic actions. You can even think of these as automatic, because it's things that happen without us needing to control them. Breath, heartbeat, just little touch points that remind us we are here now. And perhaps you start to even tune into a different direction, in that when you breathe in, the belly button not only moves out, it maybe slightly goes down as the belly fills. And on the exhale, you might feel not only does the belly button draw back, it kind of scoops up just a little bit, like it were to give a lift at the very base of the heart center. So bringing your attention to this feeling of, particularly on the exhale, that subtle lift up, very subtle. And it's more of a felt sense and maybe a visualization than necessarily feeling it with, say, with your hand to your belly. And what this natural action of the body is bringing attention to here for you is something called the still point of the heart. So in certain yogic philosophies, the ones I teach from, the ones I practice from, the heart, and specifically the still point of the heart, kind of at this base of what we would call the larger heart center, is the center of awareness. It's the beginning of awareness. So as you allow that breath in, you're expanding the capacity for your awareness. And as the exhale follows, we're just bringing a little bit of a hug to this center. So like a physical hug to this subtle center. The still point of the heart. So it's deeper than even the sort of chest placement of heart center. It's the base of the heart. So the still point, the quietest cave of the heart. Sometimes you may have heard this referred to as the Sanskrit word hridaya. So like the deep cave of the heart, very subtle, very quiet, very still. And so just with each breath you take, bringing more and more fine-tuned awareness to, I guess you could say, awareness itself. Or at least the point of perception of awareness. Just observing this with your breath. If the mind wanders elsewhere, just keep it on this point. Just keep bringing it back to the feeling of the breath, the massage of the still point of the heart on the exhale. One of my teachers calls the heart the gateway to non-conceptual knowing. So in our brain, in our head, through our thoughts, we understand the world, or we make an understanding of the world through concepts, ideas, but they are going to be differing. Whereas when you drop into the still point of the heart, this is just awareness itself. So this is kind of unsullied, uncompromised awareness. It's the awareness that we all share. So as you continue to meditate on this point, and perhaps even meditate from this point, I'm going to start to create a little bit of sound with the harmonium. And as you hear this sound coming in, just notice first of all where you hear it. So you might even find you hear the sound a little bit more through one ear than the other, which is quite common. So then can you start to sense that both ears are receiving the same amount of sound? And can you even feel the point in the middle of the ears that's hearing the sound? Can you imagine now that the sound is coming at you from all angles, just around your head? So from the sides, through the ears, through the top of the head, the back of the head, just the whole skull and brain enveloped in the vibration of this sound. And now allowing, if you can, the whole body to listen to the sound. Every cell of your being is vibrating with the sound. So that you are listening with your whole self. Now keeping that listening of the whole self, come back to the awareness of the still point of the heart, simultaneous awareness. So the whole self listening and the still point of the heart at the center of that awareful listening. In a moment I'm going to invite you to add your voice to this. Just with the really simple sound of Om. And in fact, before we go there, let's just start with a hum. So if you're joining or if you're listening, deep breath. Maybe another one like that, just humming. How the sound comes from that still point as it evolves, it expands out to every cell, to the periphery of the body, and then it dissolves back into that same still point, by which point the next breath that prepares for the next sound is already emerging. So it's a continual vibration. This time we'll start it as an we'll start it as a hum. And it will open that sound out into an om, and it'll go back into an so you can really feel the way in which the sound emerges and then dissolves and then re-emerges back from the same point. And again, same way. The next three, let's open them with the O, with the AU sound. Deep breath in. Whilst we've stopped adding sound with our voice, can you notice the echo of the sound? The feeling in the body of the sound having vibrated from the still point all the way out to the edges of the body and then back in again. And of course that expanding and dissolving is always happening your breath. So even if you don't have the ability to make sound, maybe if you're in public transport, at work, or somewhere busy, and you don't feel comfortable to make sound, just simply noticing the breath that begins really at the still point, Hridaya, the deep, quiet cave of the heart. It expands out, even beyond the skin, before retreating and dissolving back for the next one to begin. Let's slowly gather the palms of the hands together, feeling maybe a slightly lower placement, so you sense the heels of your hands are actually almost plugged into that deep cave, Hridaya. And then the other fingers are pointing out, the thumbs also anchored, the other fingers point out as an extension of that center of awareness. And may we lead a little bit more from here in our lives. So take a deep bow to that wisdom center, that beginning of awareness, and then slowly lift the head and slowly blink the eyes open. Thank you so much for joining me.